What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Trading Live with Bubba. It is Thursday, the 24th, and there is virtually nothing going on. This is sad, the lack of activity that we're watching. But again, it is what it is. We cannot change what the markets are doing. There is a potential trade that you could look in the euro currency. Again, I'm not all that excited, but certainly it would be one to look at. There's certainly one that was potential in crude that we missed. But again, I don't worry about it in these conditions. These conditions really suck from an overall trading standpoint. It's hard to get overly excited about the market. So why don't we just look at our longer term stuff and we'll come back. But again, when we look at, of course, Apple, which unfortunately weren't together Tuesday, but that was a sale. And if you've been here paying attention and taking notes from what we talk about, Apple was certainly a sale. And again, not a get short sale, but a sell premium, whether you sell deep in the money call spreads or just out of the money call spreads, either was fine. Amazon is really nothing. It stays. Now, again, Tuesday could have been a potential. Again, I don't call that. That's too close. Okay. It's not quite where I'd like to see it. But certainly, again, we have to remember that we're looking to take advantage of the markets at certain points. Certainly, as I said last Thursday, coin was a sale, and it did work out pretty damn well. Okay, and you could have sold it and cashed it on Friday and sold it again, and you're being the cash right now. Okay, this is one that we did put on last week. Okay, crowd and still nothing, right? We're just hovering. We missed this trade. We did do it 2 weeks ago. Okay, but there was nothing to do with it last week. Meta, it got earnings, so now we got to start worrying about earnings season. And since Meta's earnings are next week, if you were going to do anything, the only trade to make in Meta right now would be to sell put spreads for tomorrow. And I don't know that I'm that happy or that comfortable in making that trade for tomorrow. Again, we could get a bounce. I just don't like the overall action. I don't like the lack of volume in this market right now. So for me, I would rather say, you know what? We can pass on it. We don't have to do anything. Again, one of the things we do know for sure, we don't have to make any trades we don't want to make. Okay. Google, again, getting a little bit oversold, a little bit lower, but again, here we have to start working again at about next week's earnings. So the issues we're going to start to run into now on trades that we would think about making, we have to account for the earnings. And certainly, in a range that's this tight, you can see how the Bollinger Bands are narrowing. So in a range this tight, I have to ask myself, is it really worth the trade, especially because I know that there's news coming up? And the answer should be no. Okay, we're looking for extensions. Here, last week we talked about IWM. There it is, perfect. Broke perfectly right back to the mean. Okay. Moderna continues to go lower. It's like you wouldn't have gotten hurt selling put spreads here in Moderna. I don't know how much you would have made, but you wouldn't have gotten hurt because it's not really falling out of bed. It just continues to slide lower as we continue to watch it. Microsoft, again, really nothing until yesterday. And again, I'm not looking for you to get too aggressive here. I'm looking for you to be more passive here in these markets because, again, with earnings starting to come out, it does change the dynamics. The rally we have in the NASDAQ today is more responsibility of Tesla's earnings last night, which Tesla's blown the doors off, up $40. Okay. So again, I'm not looking to get overly aggressive with the lack of activity that we're watching. And I'm just looking to see if there's anything for us to do on a day trading basis. And unfortunately, I don't see much to really do that we'd really want to get involved in. Again, we don't have the edge that we'd like to have here. Okay. So again, I asked the question, sometimes it's just better to sit it out, don't you think? MSTR. Oops, wrong set of charts. Hold on, I gotta put my stuff back in order. Okay. MSTR. Okay. Certainly a sale. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna look at that right now. Hold on 1 second. Oh, wait a second. When their earnings are when? I forgot. I just told you to warn you about earnings. I got to wait unless I want to try to sell it for tomorrow. And I'm going to wait. I'm going to pass. Look at Nugget, as we talked about the last couple of times out. Look what happened. It got overbought, coming back a little bit. Again, not a surprise. We expect these things to happen. Okay. Again, we're taking high probability trades that give us an opportunity. Okay. And again, if you didn't take them, again, you should never feel bad about not taking a trade. Okay. Because again, not everything is tradable. Not everybody wants to take the type of risk sometimes it takes to take it. But of course, selling the spreads is not as risky as anything else. And it's fairly passive, and it can help you grind out the markets. And again, we're just going back to our trading screen to see if there's anything worthwhile. And really, there is not. Okay. So again, that's one of the things I have to watch and worry about. And just full disclosure, we've made a couple of trades this morning that worked out pretty good, but I made them optional because they were very challenging. Okay. NVIDIA, when it got up here, potential. But again, some of them are better than others. I like them when they're a little bit more extended. I mean, obviously, we don't get this pattern often enough, but I'd love to see this. Anytime I'd see this or the opposite of that would make me much more excited to get involved. But anyways, back to Qs. Again, we're surfing around the mean. Would have been a sale last week, like we talked about, working fine. Okay, they're not going anywhere. It's not like the market is running in either direction. Okay, so again, we have to remember what our task is. Same in SMCI. It's not like we're going anywhere. And any of these trades that you might have seen that you didn't make, again, making a decision not to make a trade is the same as making a trade. Deciding not to put yourself in risk, okay, because you can see there's not much going on, is the same as not making a trade. So again, why bother? What's going on with crude here? Looks like it might be getting popped a little bit. There's not going to be a trade. There's not enough volume. Okay, there's not enough emotion. There's not enough fighting in this market. The bears have not taken over. The panic has not set in. So where's my edge? That's what I'm looking for. Square. Okay, again, there you go. Last Thursday we talked about it, and look what you got. You got the market coming down. Okay. The SPY. And these are all trades that we put on the call live. So again, these are actuals. Now, Tesla, not quite high enough. Okay, I do like the fact that it's blowing off, and I wouldn't have a problem taking a whack at it here. In fact, I'm going to look at it right now because we are getting what would be considered a potential blow-off pattern. Let's just take a peek. TSLA. Okay, for tomorrow, where are we at? 251. So if I did the 250, 250, 255. Okay, I'm going to do the 250, 250, 255. Right now it's trading at 91 cents, 92 cents. I'm going to work it at $1. Okay, and see if I can get filled. But I will take that trade if it comes in. And if I don't get filled or I get filled, I will cover tomorrow, or hopefully it'll expire worthless. And I will sell it again for next week. Okay. All right. And when? Nothing. Okay. Just narrowing in, nothing to do. XBI, nothing to do. XLE, nothing to do. Zoom is definitely a sale, and I'm going to do that right now as well. Okay. Now, they don't have earnings next week, so it's okay with me. And my Tesla did fill. Okay, so I'm in Tesla and Zoom, ZM. And stock is trading. Here, the problem is in Zoom for tomorrow is not enough premium. So if I look it out to next week, 73.74. I will do that. 73.74 for next week for 44 cents times however many contracts you're doing, obviously. Okay. And that's it for that. And of course, Netflix, all that premium collapse, which we talked about. So again, there isn't a lot of excitement. There isn't a lot going on right now. It's just a waiting game. to wait for opportunities. And unfortunately, I don't see many, but we'll sit and watch for a little bit and see if anything shows up. But again, I think you got to remember that okay. So again, when we look, there's not enough action. Okay. You know, is there a reason for us to be involved here? And I would think not. Okay. I don't think that overall there's a lot to look at here. Overall, I don't think there is much to trade. Certainly, if there is something that shows up, we would be happy to trade it. But again, I think you have to remember that, again, I go back to sometimes no trade is a trade. Making a decision not to make a trade. Certainly, if you wanted to look at, for example, the bonds, they're probably a trade worth looking at if you trade them. Now, again, I don't usually talk bonds here because it's a little bit bigger tick for many. They don't have micros, but it is certainly close. Not quite enough, but certainly probably could get there. Okay. And I want you to recall and remember that, you know, again, if you don't make a trade, you're not making a mistake. You're making a decision to sit it out. Okay. And in these conditions that lack speed, that lack volume, that lack activity, sometimes you're better just sitting it out. And I think that's what we're looking at right now. Now, you give me a reason, you know, maybe the bonds will blow off this time. They're making new highs right now. So maybe we'll get a trader. But I warn you that the bond tick size is 31 and a quarter. Okay. So it's not, you know, like $1.25. Okay. So again, I want you to be aware of the risk you might be exposing yourself to if you've never traded them before. You could also look at the 10-year, which is a half that tick size. But again, there's not enough to create a trade here. The bonds are closer again, and we'll see if it gets there. So you can see that the volume is probably not going to reach what we need it to reach. And you can see that everywhere. I mean, it's pretty common throughout the entire market here that that there's no action and nothing really to trade off of. So if there's nothing really to trade, why should we be trading? Okay. Again, the spreads we sold, which I've already put in and been filled, okay, those are fine. Okay. But the rest, again, from a active standpoint, there is no reason to be overly active here. You are not getting an edge in this market because there's not enough speed or volume or panic or chase to this market yet. Okay. Now, certainly if the NASDAQ could get some big volume here, we could look at it. I don't know that it will, but it would be something that we could potentially look at. But I don't see it. So I'm not going to chase the market just because part of the components fit or work. I need both sides. I need volume and price. Okay. And bonds are not going to make it on either, I don't think, right now. Okay. So again, what's the point? Okay. You know, the NASDAQ pushing up, but there's no volume to go along with it, which means that what you're really watching is just a normal trading market, okay, versus a market that is giving us opportunity. Okay. We're trying to take advantage of extremes in this market. not just be a participant in a normal market. Now, certainly the NASDAQ is getting to that point on 4 minutes that it's slightly overbought, but there's no volume behind it. So why would I want to get involved in it? Okay. The bonds got nowhere near. So again, here we are looking at not very much activity, which then makes it harder to decide. Okay. And again, you're taking a 70% probability trade into a 55-45 or 50-50. I mean, you want to flip coins for thousands of dollars, or do you actually want to try to trade the correct way? That's something that you always have to remember. Okay. Where are we going to go and how are we going to get there? Okay. And right now there is nothing to go. Now, earlier there was, just so you can see. I mean, again, this won't help you, but this was a trade we made earlier. We shorted the market based on this right here. Okay. And of course it worked out fine. But again, you couldn't trade it. You weren't with me. So I don't want to say you should have, because you didn't know. You weren't there. Okay. And again, I have to, warn you always that, if there's not enough speed or action in the market, there really isn't much to do, because that's where we make our bigger money, is when the markets are a little bit wild and people are chasing them up and down, because we're typically almost invariably always taking the other side of the chase. Okay. So again, I wish there was more for us to look at and do, and we'll stick around for another minute or so and see if something shows up. But obviously, if we were going to base what we're watching, is it our expectation that something is going to happen? And the biggest problem that we have today is the lack of overall volume, which will then create less of those opportunities. When volume is heavier and there's more fear and panic trading in the market, it creates more opportunities for us to trade. Okay. And that is something that you got to remember and watch and learn to look for. Because there are many times that, again, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to get yourself overly involved, because all you're really doing is putting yourself in jeopardy for no particular reason. Okay. So I suppose if crude would break through that bottom end of consolidation, that might give us an opportunity. You might see some panic selling come in there. I don't know. But we'd have to break through here first of all, and then get some acceleration in volume. We need an acceleration in volume in the NASDAQ. Again, there's just not much here. So I can't in good conscience give out trades that I don't think have a high probability of success. Okay. So we'll see what happens there with crude over the next minute and a half or so. Of course, if it does turn out to be a trade, you're on your own, because I'll be gone. But if I will call it if it does show, for those who understand it. But again, I don't see a heck of a lot to really be involved in right now. I think anything done now is more of a mistake, because you're just kind of gambling a little bit. We don't have a significant edge to this market, and crude is not going to make it. So I will see you all on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. And of course, don't remember every morning I do the Market 120, just a quick update of what's going on. Check it out. And in the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you later.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.